everyone, and thank you for joining this informative webinar on how to leverage the franchising model to prospering in the African market of 1.2 billion people. Also, in the second segment of this webinar, we will feature the country of Sierra Leone in our Doing Business in Africa Country Spotlight series. So sit back and enjoy this great event. All right, just to tell you a little bit about myself, my name is Benga Motayo. I'm the Executive Director at the USAfrica Business Hub. I'm also the founder of Paysetters Agency. We are a New York City and State MWBE certified marketing company. I help businesses launch and expand globally, leveraging digital tools and matchmaking events like this one. We also help businesses to navigate entry into the US and African market. My specialties include international trade, events, and digital marketing. I'm also the author of the book, How to Start Your Own Business While Employed. Now, a little bit about our organization. But before I say that, if you have any question or if you have any concern, please drop a note in the chat box. And feel free to introduce yourself in the chat box area so people know who they're meeting today. Right, so the USAfrica Business Hub came into existence last year in the backdrop of the ratification of the African Continental Free Trade, out of the need to provide effective platform at connecting Africa 1.2 market with its diaspora and the rest of the world. We are a 501c3 status organization. We help small and medium enterprises in Africa and small minority and women-owned businesses in the US expand into global market with emphasis on the US and Africa trade corridor. We do this by connecting them to new buyers and suppliers, leveraging digital and event platforms such as our online matchmaking and trade hub, and through the US Africa Business Expo, which will take place next month during the UN General Assembly in New York. Now, a little bit fact about our organization: we work closely with other governmental agencies and business development associations such as the African Consulate General Offices, the Small Business Administration, the American Export-Import Bank, the AfCFTA itself, the African Union, the United Nations, and so forth. Now, with this collaborative participant, we come together to co-host events, which includes speakers from this relevant agency. We facilitate webinars and on-site training programs for SMEs and MWBEs looking to expand into global market. We offer educational web content, case studies, and successful stories available at blog.usafricahub.com. We partner with African countries to develop regional exporters' capability through educational events and programs. Now, one of such initiatives is our Doing Business in Africa Country Spotlight, which we're going to be hosting immediately after this segment. Now, just quickly, I'd like you to take a look at the agenda for today. We're right now on item number 2, which we're going to be hosting 3 amazing speakers. They will be speaking to us about franchising and why Africa should consider that. Then follow that would be a 30-minute presentation by the CEO of Sierra Leone Export Promotion Agency. And from there, we're going to go into matchmaking for 30 minutes. This is one of the cornerstone of what we do. We're big on matchmaking and networking, and so please do not go away, because everything you need is in the room, and we want you to network. We want you to meet awesome and great people today. All right, so and then afterward, if you like to meet with any of these speakers, you can just go right into their booth as well. So the question is, why franchising? Franchising is still a business, even though it has over 90% success rates. Now, it limits the challenges of trust. Remember last month when we hosted this event, a lot of you were talking about you don't trust people back home enough to be able to invest your money and how do you control and things like that. So franchising is a tool that you can leverage to make this happen. And the good thing is you can leverage your existing connection and experience, and it's the most logical approach due to your location. Now, I'm speaking to those in the diaspora. Now, a franchise to one country in Africa can be expanded rapidly to the entire continent. And Kemi, one of our speaker, is going to be explaining that and speaking more into that. And virtually anyone can do this. Now, globally, franchising has helped the US, and other developed countries greatly. Now, in the US alone, it attributed 50% of all retail business in the US to franchise network. Also in Canada with 45%, Australia with 26%. Now, Asia as well. Now, in Africa, it's an untapped gold mine, considering the leading country only account for about 10%, which is South Africa. Now, this tells me that the potential for growth is vast in Africa. So franchising is something that we all need to look into. As it becomes saturated in developed countries, Africa, like any other emerging market, becomes a fertile ground and a great opportunity for franchising to take root. And so this is why. And now the question is, why the emphasis on the diaspora? Now, by leveraging the skill and ingenuity and research that the African diaspora possesses, we are uniquely positioned to contribute to boosting economic growth and prosperity in Africa. We can bring our talent, energy, our skill, our technological know-how to furthering economic progress in Africa. In fact, many diasporas want to eventually go back home after living abroad. In fact, a lot of them are thinking about, we want to go back now. So one of the biggest challenges is finding suitable employment once they get back to Africa. So franchising is ideal, and that is why we're bringing this webinar to you. It's an informational session. It's not complete in itself, but it will point you in the right direction. And our hope is that at the end of this webinar, you will have all the needed tools for you to make it happen. So I want you to join me this afternoon as our distinguished speakers who have been carefully selected to help provide an overview and take you to the door. So we hope that as many of you that want to create a franchise, or maybe you want to create a franchise for your existing business, or you like to facilitate an existing franchise to Africa, or you want to become a franchisee, this is going to be resourceful. This is going to be resourceful for you. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to move quickly to thank our sponsors for today, OTAD, EX, and also the country of Sierra Leone. Now, as we are, I would like to bring on our first speaker, our first distinguished speaker this afternoon. And I'm just going to read a little bit about Teresa Mordo is a business development, marketing, and innovation transformational consultant. She's a dynamic senior consultant with 20 years experience in strategic planning, marketing, category, and omnichannel strategies, digital integration, business development, and transformation. She has senior experience in global strategic marketing, sales leadership, and business development with top multinational corporations across beauty, personal care, retail, and food industry. In fact, she's worked with countries like Unilever, Revlon, Avon, Nando's, L'Oreal, Paris, and dermatological professional skincare. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure for me and a joy to welcome Teresa this afternoon for our presentation. Teresa, please come online.
Hi, good afternoon. The most important part, I think, that I would like to say is that I am African born and passionate about empowerment and growth in Africa. So franchising, of course, is a great way to earn more revenue and to grow a brand and to gain access to this underdeveloped African market of 1.2 billion people. And that's an exciting opportunity. However, while some people assume that franchise growth will just come naturally, businesses don't just magically start and spread and grow. You need to be willing to put the work in and to make sure that your franchise grows. And what I'm going to do today is share the top 10 tips that I think will help you expand your business as a franchise or as to start a franchise within Africa. So the very first step is you need to have the right mindset. You need to have the mindset of being a teacher, a mentor, and a developer. There are a number of reasons why people start and grow a franchise. But no matter what your initial reasoning is, you must remember that if you are the franchisor and the person who starts the franchisor, you need to be a teacher above all else. You need to be willing to teach others how to run successful businesses so that they can copy your model for success and use it to create another duplicate establishment in a new market. If you don't have the right mindset and you are not prepared to share openly with your talent development and share your knowledge and share your energy and your passion, it is unlikely that you will succeed in franchising anywhere in the world, in fact. My second tip is that about making sure that you have perfected your business model and that you find the right partners. The most important thing to do in order to grow a franchise successfully is to make sure that your business model is perfected to work not only in the country that it was started in, but to work in Africa. And there are some unique challenges that you need to understand in each of the various different countries in Africa. And in fact, Africa is not just one country, it's one continent, and there are unique challenges to each of the countries. So first and foremostly, you need to know that you have a clear-cut, simple, successful, and easy to follow and transfer business model that you can and are willing to share with others. And of course, you always need to be working on your model because nothing is static. The world is a dynamic, agile, and place that requires a lot of adaptation. And the stronger and the most relevant your business model is, the better chance of success that you have as a franchise. That moves me on to tip number 3, possibly one of the most important tips of all, and that is to evaluate, analyze, understand, and adapt your proposition to the local market. You cannot force growth, and if there is no local demand for your product service, it will not necessarily be successful. You need to understand that the success of your establishment needs to be adapted to the local markets. And once you get that right, the success of your franchise will in fact be what drives the success of people trying to buy into a franchise. It's not something you can force. And if you overforce it and you put franchises at risk, you can potentially do major damage to your brand name and to your reputation, and therefore prohibit the success of entering the African markets. Don't assume that just because the franchise is successful globally, that there are not adaptations that you need to make your franchise successful within the African environment. But of course, since most of you who are logged on today have some experience and in fact are perhaps African nationals, you will have a little bit of understanding of the markets. But don't just assume that the business model will work exactly the same way in the United States and Europe, and some adaptations will need to be made in Africa. Bringing me to point number 4 is what exactly this session today is all about, and that is fostering franchise and network relationships. Africa is a networking, community-based place, and you need to find the right relationships and make sure that the economic value equation that your franchise will present is viable for all parties. It can't just be a great, successful franchising opportunity for your brand to grow. It needs to also, for sustainability, enrich the local franchisee and as they are the individuals who are going to make your franchise successful in the local market. They also need to be able to operate successfully independently and rely on each other for guidance and assistance, and most importantly on the franchisor for support and training. The fifth point is very close to my home as a long-term marketer, and that is your success will be directly related to your ability to build a strong brand identity. If you want a franchise to grow and succeed, it must have a strong brand identity that is not only locally relevant, but locally aspirational. And that means that you need to be the best that you can be in your industry, whether that's food, beauty, services. You need to differentiate your franchise to make it appealing for the consumer to want to experience and for the franchisee to want to invest in. The stronger your brand personality is, the more recognizable the brand is, and obviously the more successful your franchise will be. The sixth point is, and tip, is that you need to create a balance between local market relevance and international or national relevance. You need to have an international, you may have an international franchise with locations across the world, but there must be a balance between your international name, your international method, and the local market. Each local establishment needs to stay in touch with its community, do local marketing, attend community events, connect with the community locally, and act as if it were a traditional small business and franchise within the local market. The individual establishment cannot just rely exclusively on international marketing from the franchisor. It's imperative that you build a local market brand, you do local market analysis, and you develop a local market strategy to build the brand in the market that you are entering in. That brings me to the next point, which is, of course, find strong franchise owners to help your establishment succeed. You need to make sure that each franchise is only as good as the individual establishment. Consistency is key. You need to put strong franchise owners into each establishment, and they need to be exceptionally well trained in your business model in order to consistently deliver a good service, product, and experience. It's important to take the time to ensure that you have not only found the right individuals and made sure that they are equipped to run your business, because that ultimately their success will be your success. And then point number 8, or tip number 8, is to create a streamlined process. Individual franchise locations need to have the personality of the owner and the Africanacity, as we like to call it, shining through in the franchise, which means that they may need to do some things differently to adapt to the local market. But overall, there should be a very efficient, streamlined process of business model that runs throughout the organization, whether it's what you do in terms of paperwork, what you do in terms of technology, billing, the formula that you use in order to produce your product, the way in which you make your sandwiches, the way in which you present your food. You need to maintain continuity and have the business systems to deliver consistent quality and service. And all of this comes back to the very first point that was made, the first tip: offer resources and training. Never forget that you are, and what you can add as a franchisor is being a great teacher. And to be a great partner, you need to invest in training, invest and offer the right resources, training opportunities to allow the individual franchise owners to be successful. You are there to make sure that they have tools to succeed and the resources that they need to grow a business that is a representative of the international model and a great way of doing things. And finally, since I don't want to run over time, I apologize if I've been rather quick. You need to make sure that you are always emphasizing customer service. There is no incentive for somebody to switch from a local solution that is relevant and community connected to a new franchise unless it is an enhancement in terms of customer service, and the quality of our product and service must be consistently superior and valued as being something aspirational that the local market is really interested in, so that there is an incentive for the local consumers to buy into your franchise brand. And if your consumer is not attracted to the brand and delighted by the offer that you provide them, your franchise is unlikely to succeed in Africa, or for that matter, in any other country. So that brings me to a close. I hope I have not run over time, and thank you to Gabenga for giving me the opportunity. I run a consultancy called Marketrix Strategic Solutions, and I am always happy to share my experience with a great lot of African passion and Africanacity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Teresa. Thank you for that great presentation. That was really amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that has been worthwhile. Teresa is still here. She hasn't left. She's still going to be with us. We're going to take on your questions. We have a couple of questions already that we got from your survey, from the survey we did. And so if you have additional questions, we still have a couple of spots for additional questions. Kindly place your question in the chat box here, and we're going to attend to your question. If there are any questions you would like to ask Teresa, we're going to take it together at the end during the Q&A. Thank you so much, Teresa, for that awesome time. We're going to be going right into our second presentation. Our second presentation is going to be made by Kemi Arosoyin, and I'm just going to quickly take a little bit of minutes to read a little bit about Kemi. Kemi is the CGBP International Trade Development Specialist, and she's the Director of Africa Trade Expansion Program at the World Trade Center, Miami. With a strong background in trade finance, banking, Kemi is most passionate about international trade development, involving international marketing and trade finance to help generate higher revenue and build global brand. She's a certified global business professional in the US and an international business graduate and a trade development specialist with a 15 years experience in trade finance and international marketing. She writes, speaks, and advises on international trade issues. She has held leadership positions and branch management and has led several outstanding team projects, managing high level of diversity in culture, ethnicity, and language. So it's a pleasure to have Kemi come and do a presentation. Kemi is going to be speaking. Kemi, you can turn on your camera. Kemi is going to be speaking on how the diaspora community, those of us in Africa, in the US, and in any part of the diaspora, how we can leverage the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. She's going to tell us a little bit more about that. So over to you, Kemi, and thank you so much for joining.
Okay. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Can you see my slide now, Mr. Amatayo?
Yes. Yes, yes. We can.
Okay. All right, thank you. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. As he said, my name is Kemi Arosoyin. I work for the World Trade Center Miami as the Director for Africa Trade Expansion Program. So thank you for joining us today. I want to thank Mr. Amatayo, the organizer of this event, for bringing me on to discuss these very important subjects today. So over the next few minutes, I'm going to be talking to you about the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, which I believe that many of you have already heard about, because it's been so widely spoken and written about since it was created in March 2018. The second part of my presentation will talk about the franchising business model, which Teresa has already spoken about so well. And so I will just quickly go over how we can leverage franchising as a tool to take advantage of the continental free trade area. So over the next few minutes, I won't take your time. I hope I can quickly run through my slides. Just by way of general description, the Africa Continental Free Trade Area is a free trade area for the Africa continent, just as the name, implies. Many of us are familiar with the concept of a free trade area. A free trade area is an entire territory that is covered by a free trade agreement. And a free trade agreement happens when two or more countries come together to eliminate, suspend, or remove tariff and non-tariff trade barriers between them. So, but in this particular case, the Africa Continental Free Trade Area was promoted, negotiated, and created by the African Union. The agreement was signed, as I said, in March 2018. The operational phase was launched in July 2019, and actual trading under the agreement was supposed to commence on the 1st of July 2020, but it has been pushed back to January 1st, 2021 because of the current global health crisis. So it's the largest market integration plan in the world based on the number of participating countries. 54 countries out of the 55 countries in Africa are participating in this agreement. So what's the main objective for this market integration vessel? Number one, the main objective is to create a single market that presents a market size of $3.4 trillion in terms of combined GDP, and also 1.2 billion consumer base to the world. The purpose is to increase regional trade. Number one purpose is to increase regional trade. Right now, trade within Africa is the poorest in the world. It's about 18% compared to other global markets. Regional trade within other global markets in Europe is above 60%. In North America, where we are, it's above 30%. So, but that's not the only reason. The second reason is to increase global competitiveness for Africa in terms of trade and investment. So basically, this agreement, this single market, is saying to the world that Africa is open for business in terms of trade and investment, and we're open to the world as a body, as one body, to do business with the rest of the world. So perhaps many of you in the diaspora are probably still thinking, so what exactly is in the agreement? How will the agreement achieve its purpose? How will it achieve its objectives? And how can you take advantage of this instrument? I'm glad to announce to you that the Africa Continental Free Trade Area offers you access to a larger market, a unified market, a simplified market, and a more robust African market. And I can go on for the next 1 hour to describe the impact of each of those words, but we don't have time. But essentially, it removes tariff and non-tariff trade barriers. Tariff like duties, taxes, and fees on export from one country to the other. It removes non-tariff barriers such as import quota restrictions, discriminatory rules of origin, and unfavorable business environment, and so on. So basically, it allows free flow of goods and services. It permits free movement of persons for business and investment purposes by offering a single rule book for trade and investment. I will expatiate on that in the course of my presentation in a few minutes. And also it harmonizes regulations like packaging, labeling regulations, and safety standards. For me, in my opinion, this harmonization benefit is one of the strongest benefits for small businesses in Africa. And I'll quickly illustrate why that is a very key advantage, because it saves cost and it helps to increase competitiveness. Right now, before the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, if you are a manufacturer of a particular product in Africa, you are based in Nigeria, the packaging and the labeling requirements may be different from Ghana and South Africa, and also the content, the requirements for the product itself. Maybe you need to use alcohol as one of the components in your product. The alcohol level that is required per country in that product may be different. So you have to, if you want to sell your product in those markets, you have to adapt to each adapt your product to meet the regulatory requirements in each of those markets. Product adaptation is very expensive and it is very time consuming. So under this agreement, it has removed all those bottlenecks. The same product, the same way it is produced in Nigeria or Ghana, it can be sold across the entire 54 countries under the free trade agreement, which I said before, it saves cost, increases competitiveness, and it creates a level playing field for everyone. So generally, that is the summary of what that agreement talks about, the free trade area agreement. The single market gives us the opportunity, and that is the general description of what I have talked about. So having described what the Africa Continental Free Trade Area is, I want to quickly talk about franchising as a business model. I believe many of us here are familiar with the concept of franchising, or you've heard the word franchise over and over before. We have all seen McDonald's, Burger King, Subway. Their business model is franchising. So basically, franchising is a business concept that offers the same experience at every service point. That is the key in franchising. And Teresa talked about that, the ability for you to be able to train other people to use your business model. So it is, I have to say at this point though, that I am not a franchise expert. I'm an international trade expert, especially. So, but I understand franchising as a market entry and market expansion strategy. A lot of companies use franchising to accelerate their market growth. They use it to reduce direct capital investment in different markets, and they use it to reduce their risk liabilities in different markets. So it's a market expansion strategy, is an existing and a functioning business system with proven operational model. The concept is established, the name is registered, the brand is known. And in most cases, a long-term strategy is in place. And because it's a known brand, most times, usually it has existing loyal customer base. Franchising is a very popular business concept, particularly here in the US and in other developed markets, as Mr. Matayo said at the beginning of this presentation. It's available almost across all industries. In fact, the International Franchise Association says that more than 40% of businesses in the US are based on this model, this concept. So, but unfortunately, this is not a concept that we have used successfully in the African community. What we have seen lately are international investors buying franchises of big hotels. And so when you go to Africa, that's why you see Radisson, you see Marriott, and maybe Hilton. Those are international franchise-owned arrangements that investors are using to create these business opportunities, particularly in the hotel industry across the continent. But when we talk about traditional African businesses, indigenous African businesses, this is not a tool that has been successfully used. We have some very successful from South Africa, but from other parts of the world, this is still not, a tool that we have embraced. And that's why this conversation is very important, so that diaspora people that are looking to take advantage of the continental free trade area can begin to look at opportunities and where they may be able to play a role in this. The tool has not really been used, possibly maybe because before now, an enabling environment to do business across the continent, like what the Africa Continental Free Trade Area now offers, was not in place. But now that the implementation of that agreement is going to take effect January 1st next year, we have the next few months to begin to look at this strategy, to begin to look at this business model and think about what exactly you want to do. There are two ways to it: whether you have an existing business that you want to create franchising opportunities from it and be a franchisor, as Teresa explained, or you want to be a franchisee, meaning you are an entrepreneur, you are just a regular business person, you don't want to create your own brand, but you want to work within an established brand. You want to be a part of a successful network. So there are a lot of benefits. There are a lot of benefits that this the franchising model gifts or offers. Number one, because you're not starting your business from scratch. It saves you time, it saves energy, and it saves resources. Number two, it eliminates risk of business failure. As we know, it's very hard to build a successful brand from the beginning. So this is why identifying with a proven model, a known brand, an established structure is very important. In fact, data says that 80% of new business startups fail every year. So the success rate for franchisee-owned businesses is actually much higher than people who run independent businesses or who are new, fresh startups. So this gives you, as a new person, as an entrepreneur, somebody who is considering, maybe you want to even create a passive income on the side, apart from what you do. Particularly, I'm addressing the diaspora community, those who are thinking about how they can remain here and also take advantage of that opportunity that's happening back home. So this is a way for you to accelerate your business take off speed, and also to provide operational efficiency. It grants you access to experts and technical support. Teresa has gone through this, so I will just keep this slide. It talks about how it works, and she took us through the 10 steps about what you need to do if you want to be a franchisor or franchisee. This slide just basically tells us about the responsibility of the franchisee. You pay to use the trademark, you pay to use somebody else's brand, but the franchisor also has a responsibility to give you an entire package that includes training, marketing, hiring, and a whole lot of other things in the operational manual, which can cover operating hours, dress code. That's why everywhere you go, the key part is being able to replicate your business model. That's why it's important. A key part of the franchise business model is being able to offer the same experience, as I said at the beginning, at every location, so that when you walk into a store, a Starbucks store or a McDonald's store in this particular market in Los Angeles, you have a similar experience when you get to London, when you get to Nairobi, wherever that franchise is present. So putting all this together, as I said, my presentation is in two parts. I've described the Africa Continental Free Trade Area and just a quick, overview of what this franchising business model is about, even though I'm aware that a lot of people here will already understand what franchising business model is. So let's bring it into how it can actually be of benefit to us within the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, and how we can begin to change the dynamics in the sense that this tool is not something that we're familiar with or that has been successfully used within the African continent. So where are the opportunities? In my opinion, the service sector is where we can start from. The service sector presents a low-hanging fruit because, number one, that sector is the largest contributor to the GDP, to the continent's GDP. It accounts for more than 50% of Africa's GDP, and it is relatively easier to manage remotely. Manufacturing sector right now is very challenged for so many reasons: infrastructural issues, market fragmentation and logistics problems, actual movement of goods from one point to the other within the continent is a bit problematic right now. And if you are here based in the diaspora, based on my engagement and what I have discussed with Africans in the diaspora here in the US, it's difficult to remain here and be able to run and be able to manage a manufacturing outfit in Africa, in the continent. The management is just a bit difficult to do remotely. So there are a lot of opportunities in the service sector, and the service sector is also very broad, and that is why the opportunity is a lot there. We have business services, legal, accounting, cleaning services. Virtually every industry has a franchise opportunity: educational, tutoring, health, fitness, electronic repairs, training, whatever you are into, salon and beauty services, restaurant, logistics. So there's a lot of opportunity for you in that space within the service sector. And my recommendations to franchisees, I have two recommendations because I don't know what the audience, maybe we have people in the audience that already have an established business, or maybe you are even joining us from Africa. You are not here in the US, you're joining us from Africa, you have your business in Africa, and you are looking to create franchise opportunities from your business. My next slide will address that. But right now, I'm discussing with African, this slide focuses on Africans in diaspora that would like to purchase a franchise of take international brand to the continent, purchase an international franchise, or just look at the market in the US here. As I said, the opportunities are enormous. There's so many opportunities. Some are low cost franchise opportunities, and some are on the high side. For one opportunity, you may have to pay as high as 250,000 or more than that. But we have some that are lower than even 20,000. So you could purchase for multiple markets if you want. You can purchase depending on your capacity. So what you need to do if you're a potential franchisee and you are looking to take an international brand from here to the continent is for you to understand your goals, objectives, and your capabilities. We have talked about management, how easy it is for you to manage. If you are not planning to relocate back to the continent, you have to define all those preferences. You need to determine your budget and your investment level. How much do you have? As I said, there are low cost franchise opportunities and there are high cost ones as well. And what your level of returns will be. That also is something you have to think about upfront. And you need to choose your preferred industry or business sector. I have talked about the service industry. There's so many opportunities there. Cleaning, office cleaning, commercial cleaning, so many opportunities in that industry. And you can do a lot of research to identify what your interest is and what you will be able to, what you have the capacity to manage. You need to identify the companies that are offering those franchise opportunities here. If you are looking at an international, you don't have a brand of your own, you want to use somebody else's brand. This is the audience that I'm talking to now. So you need to identify, once you decide on your industry, you need to identify the companies here that are offering those franchise opportunities, and you need to engage them. You need to engage them with a discussion in a negotiation to know whether you can just purchase for one market or purchase for multiple markets. Now, Africa is going to have a single rule book for operating in terms of trade and business. So once you are able to establish a location, then you can create multiple locations across the continent. Before I leave this slide, there are various ways you can approach this as a potential franchisee. If you are partnering and you have bought a franchise, let me take a hypothetical example here, just a random example. Maybe you want to take a fitness or a yoga franchise to Africa, yoga services. Once you have that arrangement with them, you can either go there to create those models, those businesses yourself from one market to the other, or another way for you to do it, which is kind of like simpler in my opinion, is for you to look for existing businesses in Africa. If you are into fitness, there are fitness businesses that already exist in Africa, and you just discuss with them to let them franchise that model to them. And then you allow them to use that, because there are so many young entrepreneurs on the continent that are yearning to connect their brands with international brands. They are willing to connect with internationally recognized brand, logo, and names. So what you just need to do is to be able to convince them that using this brand that you are offering to them will bring extra value, bring additional value, will take them to a global marketplace, will announce their business. And this will have to do with a lot of training, meaning that you are also helping to standardize the process, because maybe the way the person is running his business right now is way below the international standard. Connecting with an international brand will bring training into it, customer service, and a particular code that will make that business to be unique. So there are a lot of opportunities there. So we can use you can leverage on existing businesses, talk to those that are interested and in different markets, in different countries, and be able to sell that idea to them. And you just take a fee. Because as a franchisee, you have an obligation to the franchisor, the company that is offering you the franchise opportunity. So, but at the same time, you also get something from the businesses on ground that are running this. And as I said, this is just my understanding as a trade specialist, but you will need to consult a franchise expert. I'm glad that Teresa is here, and she'll be able to probably expatiate more on this, because for you to be able to do this, you need to work with experts. You need to consult experts to be able to move forward. It's not something that you can do on your own. It's a bit a complicated business model, but it becomes easy once you understand it. And the final part of my recommendation will be to franchisors. And I'm talking about people that already have their businesses established in Africa. And the way to go about it, as I said, Teresa has also gone through that. You have to consider a business model that can be replicated. That's number one. You need to create unique competitive value for your product or service offering. You need to standardize your product and develop the brand. Register the trademark, create legal documents. You need to work with your lawyers to meet all the regulatory requirements for you to be able to own that brand and develop that brand. A lot of marketing has to go into it. You need to create an operational manual and training programs. You must be a trainer. You must be a teacher. As she said in her presentation, you need to develop marketing and sales strategy. So the owners, the franchisors are responsible for creating awareness about the brand. As a franchisee, if I buy your franchise, you have an obligation to create more awareness so that I can get the marketing and sales strategy for the franchisor is very important. And and this is also very important whether you're a franchisee or a franchisor. This is a potential franchisor now. You need to consult experts in this area.
Can you guys hear me? I'm not sure if this is from Kemi. Can you guys drop a chat in the box that you can hear me? I'm not sure if this is coming from Kemi. Oh, it seems we lost Kemi. Awesome. Okay, great. Wow, what an awesome presentation right there. I'm going to turn on my video so we totally lost Kemi. I hope she will come back, but that was a great presentation that we got from Kemi, and I can see all the comments here about that. So we would like to take your questions because we're going to go right into question and answer right now. So Teresa, can you please turn on your camera? I would like for us to begin that preliminary conversation with some of the questions we already have, and we can start with the ones that directly pertains to you while we wait for Kemi to join us again. All right, so I'd like to ask you, someone is saying here, what are some sectors and industries you have seen a great deal of success in Africa that you still think hold lot of promise? So what are some of the areas, so what are some of the sectors that anyone who potentially would like to go into Africa should look into, be it agriculture, IT, be it a product or service or beauty and all of that? Over to you.
So I think that Kemi has put her finger on it. I think services are very much so something that is easy to replicate if you have a good operational manual and you have a good business process. So services, be that food service or beauty service or cleaning services, it's something that does not require much investment but human capital rather than product is the easiest entry in terms of franchising, and it is the area that there is the most low-hanging fruit because the services and the competency of the service delivery in Africa would really benefit from the franchising model in order to standardize the processes and ways of doing business, but whether that's the actual service that you deliver or just the operational way in which you run the business. I hope that answers your question.
It does, yes. So I was actually speaking with Kemi backstage. She was a little bit worried that maybe all of our presentations were not recorded. So I said, no, we actually enjoyed our presentation. So she's going to come back in a minute. All right, so let's go to the next question. What are some of the challenges that you have noticed with franchise brands entering into Africa? Considering the fact that you operate out of South Africa, and South Africa today is the leader in terms of franchising business model. In fact, most of the companies in Africa with franchise brands, they operate their head office out of South Africa. So I wanted to ask, this person would like to know, what are some of the challenges that you've noticed? And can you give us an example? Maybe one, just a brand, an example of one brand.
So I have two main areas of experience. One is in food and one is in beauty. And I would say that the first and foremost challenge is encountering the right partners. You really need to have motivated and committed partners, both from the franchisee side and from the franchisor side, and the level of support that is required, because we are in a continent where we are potentially behind the curve in terms of standardized service delivery, lots of independent businesses, but not as many franchises. It takes, the biggest challenge is actually standardizing the process, making sure that the business model can work effectively in the market, and overcoming the challenges that are presented market by market, and understanding the market itself. What are the unique nuances of the market that will enable you to effectively roll out and replicate your model? So
thank you so much. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you.
No problem. So I think it comes back to really the first point, which is training, and more training. Education is the pathway to success. And I think that one has to recognize that the starting point is perhaps not at the same level as it is in the rest of the world. And the partners and franchisees are definitely motivated and committed. They probably need access and funding facilitation, but really training and optimizing the standardized business model is a very big challenge.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. And in fact, we have a question about funding, which I'm going to be reading out shortly. Now, I would like to address this. Nokutola Radebe, I got your question. So you were asking, how can Kemi's office help you with franchising, into Africa? So like Kemi rightly said, Kemi is into trade. Angle is leveraging the African Continental Free Trade Agreement for you to be able to expand into the whole continent. In the past, all you could do is go into one country and stay there and go start all the paperwork to go into another country. But with the AfCFTA, it's easier for you to spread out. So that's Kemi's angle. But this is what my office can do. The whole idea of doing this is to bring resources together. So we interface between the continent in Africa and the US. So if you need help to be able to get a company from the US, or maybe you already have an idea, of a company, but you like to follow through, we have a hub. In our hub, we have lawyers, we have trade experts, we have business consultants who together we form a consortium, and we can help you, put together a custom contract. It's not just, there's no generic contract when it comes to you franchising. It has to be unique to your particular need, and that's where we come. So if you're interested in that, you can reach out. I left my email address, benga@USAfricahub.com. We would gladly work with you on that. All right, thank you so much, Nokutola. I saw your message. Yes, thank you. Please send us that email. All right, thank you so much, Teresa. I'm going to take my next question. He says, I would like to turn my existing business into a franchise. I have a business doing well. I would like to turn it into a franchise. What do I have to consider, and what are the likely costs?
I'll go back to one of the most fundamental tips that you require, and that is you can be a very successful individual business owner. You understand the industry, you know how to operate. What you need to do in order to be a successful franchise is to make sure that your business model is perfected for replication. If you already have great knowledge and your business is successful, you need to be able to capture all of the fundamental points of what makes that business successful, whether it is the talent, whether it is a specific business process, whether it's the standardization of the product, the way in which it's delivered, the operational model. In fact, I would think that probably operational excellence is the most important thing that needs to be trained. So if I had a business that was doing well, and I believe that it would have opportunity in the rest of Africa, I would start first by examining your business individually and understanding, have you documented your business processes? Do you know what is required in terms of the talent? Is the product itself acceptable to other countries? Are there specific nuances? And I would do a market survey to understand how the product would be received within the market. You can have a great business, and franchising is an outstanding model in which to grow and expand your business. But you really need to have your ducks in a row, and you need to, that is your responsibility as a person who wants to start a franchise and grow that franchise into different markets. Your responsibility is first and foremost to make sure that you have documented and you have a very robust, well-defined business model that you can then train and invest. So you would need people who know your business model really well, whether that's yourself, and usually it needs more than just the owner of the business. It needs operational expertise in terms of really managing that rollout process. So I will give you an example, because I'm afraid I didn't give you one earlier. But if you are going to go into a food business, you need to have the recipes need to be written down, need to be tested, need to be replicatable. You need to be able to have photographs of how you present the food, how is the food to be prepared. You need to have health and hygiene standards, that you make fundamental basics within your business, because you cannot replicate your food offer if you don't have you haven't trained your chefs, you haven't trained your service people, you don't have all of those operating manuals. And then, of course, you need to build brand awareness and promote the brand. But first and foremost, I would start with saying, is your business model perfected in a way that it can be transferred to other people successfully, and as well as you do your business, perhaps not even better?
Thank you so much, Teresa. Thank you. I appreciate that. So, Kemi, we never had a chance to say thank you for that amazing. I know I told them, I said you were a little bit worried that maybe we lost you throughout your presentation. No, we got everything you said. It was amazing. Thank you so much for that amazing presentation. So we're just writing Q&A, and I think I have a question for you. Someone is saying that, Kemi, could you please go over how the AfCFTA can be beneficial to a potential franchisee or franchisor? I don't know, franchisor, person looking to buy a franchise. How would AfCFTA be of benefit? They want you to please go over that one more time.
Okay, so Okay, thank you for that question. But please quickly clarify, did the person say franchisee or franchisor? I had recommendations.
Yeah.
I had 2 slides for recommendations, potential franchisees and potential franchisor. So it depends on what the person is looking for. But essentially, yeah.
Sorry, Kemi, I think you should speak for everyone. I think you should just touch on everyone as well. It will benefit everyone.
Okay, all right. All right, thank you. So thanks for that question. Essentially, as I said, the Africa Continental Free Trade Area creates a single market. It's a market integration instrument. It brings the entire continent together. Now going forward, once the implementation starts, there won't be any restriction in terms of the way you can create a business or run the business in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Cote d'Ivoire, because harmonization, I described the harmonization benefit, which applies to actual product, but that also applies to doing business and the service sector as well. So yes, it creates an enlarged market for you to be able to do your business. We talked about why franchising as a business model has not really been successfully used or maybe embraced on the continent. And that I would believe, apart from the international players, international investors that are in the continent, one critical factor of that will be that there was no enabling environment before now to activate that or to entice people to be able to go through that, because the bottlenecks, the regulatory requirement in different markets was just too complicated before now. In Ghana, you have to meet different set of rules, and in Cote d'Ivoire, you have to, the rule is, and the fragmentation in the continent as well, where you have the francophones and the anglophones. So there are different complications, and that is what this has really done. Simplified. My slide, I said this is an access to a more simplified market, a more robust market, a larger market. And honestly, I can spend the next 1 hour explaining each of those words. It's a larger market for you to operate in. So if you're creating a franchise, let me address it specifically now. If you are a franchise, if you are a franchisor, if you are a business owner, and you are creating a franchise opportunity out of that, then it means that if you follow all the steps that we have described, and Teresa has also touched upon, you will be able to take your business model to different markets without any regulatory restriction or any barrier. And if you are a franchisee, if you are using somebody else's brand, you can do that in multiple markets as well. It gives you opportunity to start from one place. You can negotiate for multiple markets at the same time. So for example, if I'm interested in this opportunity and I want to take Starbucks, if I have the financial muscle, I can go to Starbucks to say, please give me exclusivity for 5 markets, for West Africa or for East Africa, depending on your ability and your financial capacity. And then you go to negotiate with that strength, and then you go and implement in those markets. But the first is that if you are a franchisor, you are thinking about franchising your business, you must ensure that you have the operational manual. Your business is something that can be replicated, and you are willing to really promote and make your brand known. Because really, what is the value? The value is in the brand. The value is in the name recognition. The value is in the ability to replicate the same service, the same quality of service everywhere. Franchise companies usually have that difficulty, and that's why they want to maintain some level of control over their supply chain and their customer service and the quality control. Quality control is very key for people that are involved in this business model.
Thank you so much, Kemi. I think you turn off your video. I don't know if it's a technical.
No, it is. So my video should be on. I'm seeing myself, but right now, can you see me again?
I can see Kemi.
You can't see me?
I can see you.
Okay, yeah.
You can see Kemi. Okay, so that must be from my side. Okay, great. All right, thank you so much for that, Kemi. I think we have 2 more questions, and I'll just let you go. I know you all have a busy day ahead of you. Someone is asking a question about finance. How do we access funds to be able to, this is from Tokumbo Adeluga, how do we access funds to be able to buy into a franchise from the US and take it to Africa? This is a funding question. Are there available funding opportunity, or are there a pathway to get, I think this question would not be someone who already has a franchise, because if you have a franchise, you would not need funding, right? Because you must have been a tested business for you to want to franchise it, right? So this question is probably Tokumbo wants to broker or take an existing franchise to another franchisor in Africa. Can you shed more light on that, Teresa or Kemi?
I'm not familiar with the availability and accessibility of funding on a global level, but I guess I would say that there would be anyone who is willing to invest in funding would need to know that there is a good return on investment and a viable and continual business, which is where, again, franchising makes it much more attractive for lenders and for funders. But I'm not sure if there are any particular government incentives or US aid, or perhaps Kemi, being closer to the specialization of international trade, can answer that question better than me.
Okay, right, so thank you. Okay,
right.
just to add quickly to that, the challenge here is there are a lot of funding programs, there are a lot of supports that government, government opportunities out there that we inform exporters, US exporters about all the time. There's so many opportunities and grants, but the challenge, or what I can't really say at this time, I may have to get back to that person or do some research about it, is if this business is going to be in Africa. So that's the difference. If you have an established business here if you're a US business, the funding opportunity to come talk to your bank. If the business is going to take place here in the US, there are I know of funding opportunities. But since you are taking the franchise to establish in Africa, I don't know that model, whether those programs will apply or those opportunities will apply in that case. But you can also check, if you are from Africa, you can also check opportunities with commercial banks in Africa, since the business is really going to take place on the continent.
Thank you so much, Kemi. I totally agree with you on that. I know for a fact that the U.S. Export and Import Bank, Exim Bank, they've rolled out a lot of programs for small and minority businesses in the U.S. So if you have an existing business and if you want to sell outside of the U.S., Exim Bank recognizes you as an exporter, and they would back you up. They can give you funding and loan and grant and all of that. But it has to be US out. So they have to see you as an exporter. But it doesn't have to be a product, physical product. It could be a service. But you have to sit down and think about, how can I make this product or service be something that, in fact, if you're consulting in marketing or anything to anyone outside of the US, you are recognized as a US exporter, and they will back you up. Yes, but anything outside of that, they won't support that. So like Kemi said, we're going to look into that more closely. Tokumbo, I know very well, so we can talk about that more, but for the benefit of everyone else, if we have more data, we will let you know. But even though we're talking about franchising today, if you are in the US, I would greatly encourage you to please look into thinking globally, like take something out, package something. The requirements are not too great. They're not too heavy for you to be an exporter and for Exim Bank and SBA to support you. So on that note, I'm not sure. These are all the questions I have written here that I took from the chat. Let me quickly run through, please. If there's any question you have, that we have 5 minutes to go actually, so we're good on time. So if there's any question that we haven't touched on, kindly please let us know. And while I'm waiting to see if there's any more question, I'm just going to emphasize on my slide that if you have any franchising request, maybe you want to take a franchise to Africa, or maybe you want to broker a franchise deal. Maybe you have an existing relationship where you work right now and you think your boss or you think someone you know would consider going to Africa, or you want to turn your business into a franchise model. Reach out to me. My email is on the screen. Like I said, while Kemi was away, one of the things we do at the USAfrica Hub is we work with a lot of consultants. We create that hub so we can leverage those relationships to give you what you need. We interface, all right? We connect you with what you need, wherever you are. So please send us an email if this is something you really, really actively would like to pursue, and we would definitely help you out. So on that note, we're just going to go straight into the matchmaking. So there's another segment which is going to be a presentation on doing business in Sierra Leone. So the folks from Sierra Leone, they're not logged into the stage yet, so I'm not going to keep us waiting. So rather than do that and go do matchmaking, we're just going to go right into matchmaking, because I know a lot of you, that's what you came for. I've been getting a lot of feedback. People are meeting people. The way it works is on your left, if you're using your laptop, on your left, you're going to see a networking icon. Now it's not red because we have 5 more minutes. As soon as we hit 1:30 p.m., it's going to go live, and you would see that red live on networking. So jump right into networking in 3 minutes, and what you'll be able to do is the system would ask you, they want to take on your camera and audio. When you allow that system to do that, you would be able to be matchmade with everyone on this webinar this evening. So, and it's going to be a 3-minute countdown. When that 3 minute gets to 0, there's a pop-up that will show up and ask you, would you like to connect with this person you're talking to? If you click on that, then your information will be exchanged between both of you. Then the system will take you to another person and another person, on and on and on and on for the next 30 minutes. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to sincerely thank you. And if you can see on my screen as well, the whole of this, the genesis of everything we're doing today started last year when we hosted the USAfrica Business Expo. The business model then was, we just want to do an exhibition. We were not thinking of webinar or consulting or nothing. But when we did that expo, a lot of flood of requests came, and we had to pivot. We had to adapt so we can meet all of your need. That event is taking place next month. It's the USAfrica Business Expo. Or normally it would be an in-person event in New York, but because of COVID-19, it's going to be all virtual. So we want to encourage you to please sign up for that event. I think we still have a lot of free tickets. You can exhibit, you can meet with partners, you can, whatever we're doing today is going to be on a larger scale. So I just want to encourage you, please, please, please sign up for that event. The link is right there. It's actually on this platform, so you're not going anywhere. If you go to our profile, you should see that event right there. The USAfrica Business Expo is 1:29. I'm waiting for 1 minute so that link can come up so we can all go to do some networking. And don't forget as well, okay, yes, I'll say that. So yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, I would like each and every one of you to put on your smiles and be ready to meet someone. My mentor told me everything you need is in the room. Everything you need is right here. Whatever it is you're looking for, there's someone who has the solution to what you're looking for. So ladies and gentlemen, okay, you know what? I think, hold on for me 1 second. I think I need to do a little bit of a tweak so that we can get networking started. I think it has to be me who should activate that. I think we originally put it at 2 p.m. So give me a minute.
Kabenga, on that note, I would like to say thank you very much for the opportunity. And should anyone that is on the webinar today require some assistance and service, they can contact you, and you can put them in touch with me as and when required. But thank you. I hope that every one of you that are here discover your Africanacity, and that means, what can we do to make Africa grow and be great? So thank you very much, Gavenga.
Oh, thank you so much, Teresa. We greatly appreciate you taking the time to come. And this speaks a lot about what networking can do, right? How we met, and now we're talking. You're all the way in South Africa. I'm in New York. Kevin is in Florida, and a lot of folks are all over the world. So, COVID-19 is not all that bad as well. It came with a lot of good stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just checked. It wasn't your fault. It's my fault. We still have 4 more minutes before we can start networking. It starts at 1:35. So there's 4 more minutes, and I don't want to lose you. I don't want to leave the stage, because if I leave the stage, you're not going to go anywhere else. So let's stay here for 4 minutes while we go for matchmaking. So what can we do for 4 minutes? Anything randomly, Kemi? Are there something you would like to say that we rushed you, and because I saw you flying through your slide? Are there anything you would like to emphasize? Please, 4 minutes. We have 3 minutes, actually.
Okay, thanks. So I'm just going through the stage to see the questions posted. I'm kind of like new to this platform also, so I'm really sorry if there were technical issues at the beginning. I'm trying to get familiar with the application. So I see Lara Ejizu asked a question about a few minutes ago. As a Nigerian resident in US and an exporter from US, would I need to register the business in Nigeria or US? I don't know if that's very clear to me, but let me just say this to Lara. Thank you for that question. I don't know about this side. As I said, you have to talk to a franchise expert. I assume what you are trying to do is to take a franchise from there, buy a franchise from there, and take it to Nigeria or Africa. Definitely in Nigeria, wherever you want to establish that business, you need to register a business. Whether you now need a vehicle to engage, or you can do that in your personal name. You also need to sign a contract with a franchisor here. The company that you are buying the franchise from. So I don't know if you can do that in your personal name and just go there, negotiate, and say, you know what, I want to buy franchise for this market in my name. I don't know if that's possible in your name. As I said, you have to consult, talk to Mr. Omotayo. He can expatiate or help you out in that area. But definitely in the market where you are going to do business, you must be registered there.
And the contract would need to be registered in Africa too, to make sure that the franchise agreement is relevant within the jurisdiction of where you're operating.
Thank you for that, Teresa and Kemi. Absolutely, Lara. So this is just an informational session. This is just to show you what's possible and how it's possible. It's to take your feet to the door. So it's not really an holistic and awesome solution. So that's why if you are interested, you can reach out to me. We would help you with whatever franchise ideas you have and take it to Africa. I hope we've been able to establish today that franchising is a great model that each and every one of us should consider. It's going to create jobs in Africa. It's going to help our economy. It's going to protect your interest. It's going to expand your business. It's going to limit your risk, and it's going to help you, to have that economic freedom. A lot of us in the diaspora were thinking, how can we be part of this 1.2 billion market that everybody keeps talking about? And for some reason, this seems to be one of the most ideal way to make it happen. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. So please, you can all leave this stage and go to networking. Just refresh your browser or your phone or your system so you can network. I'm going to network myself. I love to meet new people. I love to meet you one-on-one, and I love to say thank you for showing up. Kemi, thank you one more time for taking the time to be with us this afternoon. It's really been great. We enjoyed your presentation, and it's been awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's all jump out and move into the networking section. All right.